Hi everybody, this video will demonstrate how to create a start screen and an end game screen for a first-person shooter game in the Unreal Engine. Previous videos we have set up character movement, we've set up the shooting ability, we've set up some targets that we can hit, and we've set up coins we can collect with UI elements. 1, 2, 3 coins collected. Set up health UI and damage with an object, and then health gain with an object. So now we're going to talk about how to create a start and end screen. Alright, so I'm going to delete this one that I created previously, so we'll do delete that one. Delete. Alright, so I have a UI folder, and I also have a HUD already created, and my HUD is already being displayed by my game mode. So HUD class to our new HUD. And what I'm going to do is right click in my UI folder, go to user interface, widget blueprint, and we're going to title this one W_start screen. That'll work. Double click to open that up. First thing we're going to add is an image. If I add an image to my canvas, and I select that image, is a size to content. Oh, actually, you can just drag it out to the size of it for now. Once we pull in an individual graphic image, then we can do size to content. If you don't want to pull in a custom image, then we can just go change the tint to whatever color we might want to here. But I previously saved an image out of my playthrough, so I'm going to pull that in. So if I go to my desktop and I'm going to drag in this image to my UI folder, imports that as a texture. Depending on the image and the format, this was a PNG image, so there's some issues with how it's compressing this. There's some more yellow values. If I look at my screen, there really is no yellow there. So if I double click that image, I can change the compression settings to default, and that's going to correct it back to the way it should look there. You may or may not need to do that. So we'll do save. Otherwise, it's going to create like really weird yellow colors when we pull it in here. So with the image node added, we're going to select that image, and underneath brush, if you open up brush for appearance, there's an image drop down, and we can add our textured image that we just created. There we go. So then now we can say size to content, and that will add it to the size of, I think because I've scaled this. Let me just delete this out and create a new one. I think probably because I scaled it to begin with, it caused an issue. So let's go ahead and add our image, and then we will do size to content. It's a little smaller, so we'll drag it out a little bit more. Not actually letting me drag it. Alright, let's turn off size content. There we go, so we'll drag it to the length. 1080 by 1920. There we go, that's the size of my document here. Alright, so that's going to be our background. And what we're going to do is add some buttons over here that we can click on in order to interact with this. So we're going to clear our palette out, and we'll type in button. And we're going to drag that to our canvas. Okay, we actually drag that on top of our canvas there. So, all right, to make the button display in front of the image, it's behind the image right now, we need to change the Z order. So if I go to button and Z order, if I change that to 1, then that button is now in front of the image. If I change that back to 0, it's behind the image, 1 is in front of that image. So that's the Z order, it's underneath the slot Z order there. Alright, so actually what we can do is create kind of a menu first. So let's do a vertical box and put that in our canvas. Okay, and just change our Z order to 1. And then in that vertical box, we're going to create a couple buttons. Okay, so button 1, put that in our vertical box. And we'll take our vertical box, let's see, scale Y to make it wider, and then scale X to make it wider, scale Y to make it taller. And I'm going to drag this box over here, this window there. There we go. All right, so we're actually gonna drag another button in here. So vertical box button, and adds another button underneath the other one. Okay, so we got our two buttons. We're gonna go add some text in here. So text. I'm gonna drag my text underneath one button, and that should rescale it vertically. I'm gonna drag my text again underneath a second button, and that should add my text to my second button there. All right, so in my text block 1, let's go ahead and rename everything so we can make this easier to know what we're doing. So top button is going to be start game. Start game B for button, and then the start game text, and then in the text blocks we'll say start game. There you go. The second button we'll say quit B for quit button. Underneath that we'll say quit text, and then we will change the text of that box to quit. All right, we gotta hit enter there. There we go. All right, so we can increase that size. Let's say 48. Let's go to the other one. Let's do 48. There you go. So that shows us we need to make our vertical box size wider, and we don't need to make it this tall. There you go. That'll work. All right, so start or quit game. Those are metrics. Quit will like exit out of the game, and start game will take us to the next level. We can then come back and add like a credits later, but this is a good starting point. Compile and save. Okay, so with this widget we have some buttons that we can click on and interact with. So I'm going to go to the graph, and here are my two buttons, quit B and start game B. So I'm going to click on Start Game B, and then in the details panel here I'm going to choose On Clicked, and I'm going to tell it what to do when I click this Start Game button. So I'm going to drag out, and I'm going to choose Open Level by Name, and here's where I need to know the name of my level that I'm going to be creating. So if I go back to my content folder, I name my level FPS level. So I want to make sure I copy that in exactly the same, FPS underscore level. So when I click the start button, I want to open the level. When I click on the quit button, so click on quit, and then on clicked, then drag out from that, and then we'll say quit. We'll say quit game. Okay, and our command is going to be quit. Okay. So that's our major actions for our start window. Load level when start button's pressed, quit game when quit button's pressed. All right, so now we need to create a start level that starts the game, and then it'll load this widget with that start level. So compile and save and close out of here. Let's go ahead and do File, Save All, just to save our progress. And then in my content folder, you can create a levels folder. I'm just going to come up here and create a new level, and we'll call this one Start Menu Level. Start menu level. All right, let's double click on that level to open that level up. It may ask us to save our other levels, so we need to save, or excuse me, this is asking us to save our start menu level. So let's do save selected. Yep. It opens up a black screen because this is a blank level, and that's fine. We don't want any geometry or anything in here. We just want to display our start widget in the UI. All right, so we're going to go to our level blueprint, open level blueprint in our start menu level. And from begin play, we want to create our widget. So this is a create widget. And with the class, we're going to select our start screen widget. We're going to connect that to a add to viewport. And then connect our return value of our widget to the target. All right, there's a couple of things where we want to be able to show the cursor as well. So we want to drag out one thing. Let's see. Yep, we want to come in here underneath that and choose Get Player Controller. All right, and from that, we're going to drag out the return value, and we're going to choose Set Show Mouse Cursor. There you go. And we want to turn on Show Mouse Cursor. All right, and we're going to connect the Add to Viewport to that set. So basically, we want to have the option to be able to see the mouse cursor and click on our buttons. Compile and save. This is in our level blueprint. We also need a second game mode that this level blueprint is associated with. Right now, it's not associated with a particular game mode. Let's hit Control S, and I'm going to right click and choose Blueprint Class and choose Game Mode Base. And we'll say Game Mode Start Menu, GM Start Menu. All right, we need a different game mode than the player game mode, the FPS game mode that we had before. So we just need a blank game mode here, and then in the Start menu, so let's choose Save Selected. Oh, we already had it open. In the world settings over here, we're going to change the game mode override to our game mode Start menu. Okay, so let's save. And then in the FPS level, I'm going to open that up, which is our main level. We're going to change our game mode override for that one to game mode FPS. That ensures when we go to different levels like this, let's hit Control S to save, go back to our Start menu, that it's going to load the right game mode. Alright, so let's play and test this out. So I'm in my Start menu level and play. There is my start screen. I can choose start or quit. So if I choose start, that should load my play level. I can play and interact with my level how I wanted to. Right. If I play and then hit the quick button, that should quit my game, get back in out of play mode. Alright, one issue that we have is that, let's see, let's go back to regular one. It's actually putting the image up here in the top left instead of in the middle, which is really only an issue if you are in selective viewport and your screen's wider than that. So if you go to a new editor window, it'll kind of match everything properly. So you're not going to see those black bars on the side. But if you're in the regular kind of selective view, it'll kind of snap everything to the top left and the black bar will be on the right. If that bothers you, then you can go into the Start Screen widget, select that image and go to Anchors, hold down Shift and click on the middle, and then re-zero out the position X and position Y, and now it's going to put the image in the center of the composition here. So now if I play, the black bars will be on the side. Now the player won't see this, it's just the extra space on the outside due to the scale of my viewport. So if I pull this out, you won't see those black bars at all. But if you see that, that's not a big issue. But that might be a reason why you need to come in here and change the position of your buttons. So the buttons are kind of too far towards the middle. And come over here and kind of select that vertical box. Move them over here a little bit more. You put your buttons wherever you might want them to be. Compile and save. And then play. We can have the reset of that as well. So better position of that. Alright, so now we can create a game over screen as well. We'll stop and we'll come back and we'll kind of repeat with a game over screen. So let's see, we're going to do a user interface widget blueprint. We'll title this widget W game over screen. Open that up. Maybe we'll do just a black background or some kind of dark image for the background here. Take the image. We'll just scale this one out. So instead of pulling in an image, we'll just do a kind of darker color. There you go. Let's drop this really dark, maybe dark blue. There you go, and this is going to say game over. Let's first do horizontal box. And in that horizontal box, we're going to add some text. Okay, we'll take that horizontal box, get my anchors, and I'll move that to the center. And then I'll zero my positions out. And I'll make my horizontal box larger. And I'll take my text box. We can center it. And we'll increase the size. So we'll say something like 64, pretty big text. And we'll say game over. You know, you win or you lose. So we'll say, I don't know, congrats, game over, something like that. All right, then we'll increase our vertical or horizontal size for this. There you go. I'm going to move it up some. Oh, that's the horizontal position, so we will take the horizontal box. It's not going to allow me to move it up. Drag it up some. Something like that. And then we're going to add a vertical box for our buttons. Put it to our canvas. Go to our anchors, and then we'll center that. Put our values of position X and Y at 0. We're going to need a much bigger box for this. So we'll drag that out. And then we'll add some buttons. So we'll add one button. We'll call this one Restart B for button. We'll add another button. We'll call this one Quit. Quit button. And we can add another button. And we can call this one Start Menu B. Here we go. Alright, so we can move our vertical box down some. Something like that. We can get some text. Drop a text into each button. Here we go. We can maximize our view so we can kind of see this easier. Let me open up my start screen widget. I want to see how big my text was here. 48. Alright, good. So we can increase our text to 48 there. 48 and 48. I can also go back and see how wide my vertical box is here. Just want to keep consistency. So size X, let's just say 390, just to keep it simple, consistent. And then we'll go back to our vertical box here, and we'll say 390 there. There we go. So now everything is consistent with our start screen. The text block, this is our text block for restart, so we'll say restart level, question mark, restart text. This is going to be our quit text. Say quit, question mark. And this is going to be our start menu text. Okay. And we'll call this one start menu. Which one would you like to go to? We don't have to put the question marks, but can if you want to. Alright, so maybe I'll do 400 or 420. A little bit too close still, so let's do 500. That'll work. Compile and save. We'll go back to our start screen and increase that to 500 as well. There you go, so we can just see that consistent button size. That'll work. Alright, so we're going to go to the graph now. We got our buttons created. Come down to the bottom, and we're going to start with our restart on click. Click and drag that. And this is to restart the level. So we'll say open level by name. And we're going to type in FPS level is what we called it. Okay. We're going to get our quit button on click. Click on it. On click. And that's going to go to a quit game. Don't have to do anything else there. Then the last one, start menu. and that's going to go to open level. And we got to remember what we called it, so let's go back to our levels. Start menu level. So we'll type that in here. Start menu level. There you go. All right. So last thing we need to do is go into create a new level called Game Over. So we will do new level, and we'll call this one Game Over level. All right. We're going to double click that level, and we're going to save this level. So save. Let's create a new game mode. So right click, blueprint class, game mode base, GM game over. Okay. In our game over level, we're going to change our game mode to game mode over. GM game over. All right, and with our level, we're going to go to blueprints and open our level blueprint. And event begin play, we want to create widget. And that widget is going to be our game over screen widget. From that, we're going to do add to viewport. Return value to target. From that add viewport, we're going to, let's see, actually we need our player. So we're going to right click down here, get player controller. And drag out from that return value and choose set show mouse cursor and turn that on. And then we're going to connect add viewport to set show mouse cursor. Here we go. All right, save. And we're in our game over level. We can hit play. That should open up our game over level. It's kind of over here on the right again, so let's back out and let's go back to our UI game over screen. Select our image, go to the anchors, and hold down Shift and hit the middle button, and then hit 0, 0 for position X. Compile and save. There we go. So we hit play. It's in the middle now. If I do restart level, that's going to get back to play mode. If I escape and go back into my game over level, if I choose quit, it's going to get out of the game. Hit play. If I do the start menu, that should get back to my start menu here. Here we go. So now what we need to do is go into our level and our main level. So let's Control S to save. Go into our main level and save selected, sure. And create an action that will drive the end of the game. So after I collect all these targets or wherever I'm going, then I could transition or overlap an object, let's say over here in the corner, or wherever that's going to be. That when I overlap that, it's going to load game over level. So let's go create something like that. Let's go to meshes. We're going to right click and choose blueprint class actor, BP underscore game over object. Sure. And let's just do a simple cylinder. We'll do 0.1 for the height, 0.01 for the height, very thin. And we'll increase the size 3 and 3, make it wider. Let's create like a particle system so we can know, hey, move over here, here's the ending. And we'll do sparks. Put some sparks on here. It's an interesting look to it. There we go. And let's also create a box collider. Box collision. I'm going to move it up and actually not parent it to the particle system. Let's put it back to the default object. And I do want this to be smaller, so I have to actually get into this space. So let's do 0.5, 0.5, and that'll work. 0.5, 0.53. So I have to really get towards the middle. Maybe just do 1 by 1 by 3. I have to get in towards the middle, and then it will load my game over. All right, so I compile, save. All right, so when the player interacts with the collision box here, I'm going to select the collision box, go to the event graph, and right click and choose on component, begin overlap. When the player overlaps with this box collider, then I'm going to drag out from that and choose open level by name. And make sure I have my right name here. What do we call our level? Game over level. Game over underscore level. Let's compile and save, and then close this up. All right, so let's go back to our meshes, and let's put our BP game over object somewhere in our scene. There we go. So when the player comes and stands into this space, we'll move it out way out here. Then it's going to switch to game over level. So let's save and play. So I can play around my level. Come over here. If I overlap this, it goes to my game over level. Congrats, game over. Then I can go back to start menu. I can go to game start, play my game again, go back into my game over, and choose like restart or quit, whatever I might want to do here. There you go. So that's how we can create a start menu and a game over menu, and then even build an option to load game over level when I interact with an object. Right, that'll wrap up this video on how to create start screens and game over screens.